Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Dive podcast. I am your host, Mual. Dre is in here. AJ is on the way, should be here any second now. Dre, what's going on with you, player, man? Hey, first off, before you even say something, this is the first time I've seen you. I may be tripping. This is the first time I've seen you in any type of Commander's attire, bro. Am I tripping?
No, you definitely tripping because I done had some Commander's gear up on this joint.
Or maybe it's a new hoodie.
Well, no, that's not new. I mean, I've had it for a couple months now, but you know, maybe you just noticed. You know.
Okay, I'm about to say. When I saw the black,
well, I'm on camera.
I was like, that's on cold, bro. Yeah, you are on camera this time, bro. I'm saying you done missed out on your golden moment.
Caught me that one time. That's all right. They seen my screen name up on the thing, man.
Hey, man. Hopefully everything we get another run of those. Let's get some administrative items out of the way before we even get started. Obviously, Louis Riddick is scheduled to join us in just a few minutes. Louis also will be, just in case anybody doesn't know, next week will be on all 3 days of the draft broadcast on ESPN. But before we get locked into Louis, man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you are new to the YouTube channel, same thing on the audio side. If you are just checking in and you're following, you like the content, man, hit that follow button. We appreciate that. Give us a rating and review, man. It takes 2 seconds to do so. And it's also free. It is no financial support behind it. It just shows that you show love. Shout out to Mike Smith. Before we got started, fellas, Mike Smith gave us a huge donation that surprised me. I had to wipe my eyes. I ain't even got glasses, bro. Sent $100 to the Twitch side, man. So I appreciate you, Mike. If you are watching, you know, it's kind of crazy because we definitely shifted over to YouTube over time. But apparently we still got some love on the Twitch side. So definitely appreciate you checking in, Mike. And always showing some love today. Let's go ahead and get AJ in this thing, man. AJ, what's going on with you, player? How you feeling, bro?
I'm good, man. Can't complain.
That's good. Talk to us about this Mitchell and Ness thing that Louis Riddick got going on too, because I didn't want to butcher that part. I saved it for you.
Oh, I mean, essentially, Mitchell and Ness partner up with Louis Riddick to collab with a collection. Louis is a Pittsburgh alum. The University of Pittsburgh, I want to say that's what they go by. So they did a collaboration where he's releasing a bunch of apparel through Mitchell and Ness. I think is out now. I guess we'll allow him to kind of tell us a little bit about the collaboration in regards to that. But that's essentially what he has going on. So if you are a Pitt fan or from Pittsburgh, definitely go and get you some of that collection. Some pretty dope gear. As we all know, Mitchell and Ness does a great job of.
Hey, cold, bro. I got like three Mitchell and Ness jerseys.
Yeah, I got so much, and when it first really came out, man, even though I was in high school, I was spending so much money. Like, really, that's what I was working for. I was working
popular
to buy
Jordans.
Like, I was working to buy Jordans and
There was
jerseys.
a joke there, Dre, but I'm gonna let you go.
So yeah.
All right, now I get the Negro League baseball jerseys, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say with Pittsburgh, man, they probably got some. I was gonna say with Pittsburgh, they got some dope stuff. They probably got some good Larry Fitzgerald, some Aaron Donald stuff. Man, shoot, I might be hopping on that Louis Riddick.
Well, let's see if we can get it when he comes through or after the show. Let's see if we can get like a link or find like the details so we can put it in the show description. Because Mitchell and Ness is tough, bro. And if y'all out there have never heard of Mitchell and Ness or never owned any Mitchell and Ness clothing or anything like that, this probably is a good moment to advertise it and bring that to the floor. I was saying I get their Negro League jerseys now. I still get some. So time and again, I'll go cop some of those from, I think, MLB's website. They kind of host it. I think that's MLB's website. All right. So, like I said, Louis Riddick will be joining us shortly. One more, since we have everybody locked in now. We may be live again tonight, 8 p.m. Special guest. We ain't gonna say that right now, but be locked in at 8 p.m.
Real special.
When that tweet come out, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna be live. But look, AJ and I had a conversation. I wanted for those who are, I see you checking in on Twitter, Ash Milad. I hope I said your name right. I pray to God I did. But we had this conversation, and I'm gonna spin the block on this question because we're definitely gonna talk about that and the agent's tweet when we're done talking to Louis. But what do we think about the live thing? I figured the people who check in all the time, if we get some conversations from the chat, we'll see. But I feel like AJ and I, when we get the guest on, we have like this conversation on exactly what do you all want to see? Like, do you all want to be like anytime we get like a really good guest, and not to say that we had poor guests, more so just saying like the ones that the ones that's hard to get.
It's a different tier. It's a different tier.
Yeah, the ones that's hard to get. Like that's, I remember for some time, like we was getting denied by like ESPN because they couldn't go off non-ESPN platforms. So I think things are changing a little bit. But do y'all want to go live every time we get those quote unquote hard to get guests? Y'all, is this some food for thought? If y'all want to talk to us now, go ahead. What's up,
and Mo, I was gonna say maybe you want to set up a poll as well on the Trap or Dive Twitter page. Maybe set up a poll.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. We can set the poll up too, just so we can kind of understand. We ain't no big deal going live, but sometimes when you limit it on time with them, like that's kind of the show. So DMV said he would love that. So that's a good start. That's also a good thing too. With I always forget his name. Like he got the new name now, but I know who you are. He said a poll is a good idea. Cornell said yes. That's a good point what he said. Make sure y'all have y'all notifications on, because just in case those guests do come up and we end up like just saying F it, go live for everyone, you're going to get the notification when we do go live, just in case those things aren't around. Okay, so let's poll it then. Matter of fact, let me take the time out now. I'll worry about it later. Actually, just trying to get everything before I forget, bro. Because I got a memory that fails me, bro. And I'm young. I'm about 12 years younger than y'all, bro.
But look, hey, we didn't even do a vibe check. How we feeling? We are literally 7 days away from the draft. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are less than a week pretty much away from this draft. All this overanalyzing, the psychoanalyzation of these prospects, the quarterback prospect. We even got the stuff yesterday that we're going to get into a little bit later, you know, the visits and maybe the agent stuff. But what's the vibe, man? How y'all feeling a week out from this draft, man?
I mean, I think for me, man, I'm just ready for the draft to be over with, especially with this fan base and us covering the team. You just seeing people nitpick at so much different information that's out there. You're seeing people go through agents' likes. Like, come on, man. Like, it's just at this point, I'm sure even the prospects themselves are just waiting for that opportunity to understand where they're going to be playing for the next 4 to 5 years and being able to settle in and getting back to football. Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. I mean, I think my excitement is overall for the draft, what they decide to do in all different aspects and different rounds. They decide to move back in, whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much where I stand. Like, I'm just ready for it to be over, and I guess we got 7 days.
7 days, bro. I can't wait either. I think this is a unique position because now, like the last time we had number 2, I think it was a consensus at the moment. I would say, because I'm not going to sit here and say everybody felt this way, but I would say like at least 85% of the people were good on Chase Young. Like, we were like, that's who they're going to get. So it wasn't like no super back and forth type of conversations going on, right? They just knew they needed that edge rusher, and people use, that's when the generational talent word was used 1,000 times a day. I think this is different because quarterback is ultimately the future of your franchise. And with that discourse in that conversation, like, I can't wait till we talk about the agent, like the things that people kind of dive into, you know, whether it's valid or whether it's not valid, or it has some validation to it or merit to it. People like dig their heel and say it's like a detriment or it's a foregone conclusion. And I think those are kind of the conversations that at the number 2 overall pick, when you know you need a quarterback, you know, you can get tired of that really easily. So I'm trying to get the draft over so I can figure out who all the other top 100 picks going to be. I can't wait to figure that part out. I can't wait for that part. Dre, where you at?
And that's the thing, because like you mentioned, Mual, with the, you know, last time we had a number 2 pick in the draft, the consensus, not even just with the fan base, but amongst like the media and everyone, was that Chase Young would pretty much be the pick. So we kind of knew for a while. It was just needing the confirmation when we got to draft night. And then you go 10 years, or at least to 2012, when we had the number 2 pick again. We already knew we were picking RG3. We had traded up from 6 to 2 in that draft. So we knew that they were trading up for RG3 because it was a foregone conclusion that the Colts were going to draft Andrew Luck. But this draft is like, it's still that mystery. I know Adam Schefter was on our show last week and pretty much told us that we can go buy our Jayden Daniels jerseys, but there's still that mystery with this pick, because for what we know, at least Adam Schefter and a lot of these guys, is that a lot of this is coming from maybe other teams messaging. Like Adam says, he talks to people around the league, you know, and everyone's consensus is that, oh yeah, Jayden Daniels is the number 2 pick. But none of this is coming from, I talked to someone in the Commanders front office. So it still leaves a little bit of that mystery and that intrigue heading into next Thursday. And couple that with the fact that this fan base is still split as hell on who the quarterback is. I mean, there's a few people like me that are just kind of neutral about the whole situation. Like, we're fine with whoever we get. You know, we know we're getting a quarterback in this draft. I'm cool with either option. But there's a lot of people in this fan base that's like, nope, it's one or the other. So there's still that until the Thursday night.
Well, let me ask you this one thing, Dre, because I know and I understand that. Like, I think before Adam got on, one of the questions you asked me was like, will I, along the lines of like, will I be pissed if like, or why would I be pissed if they select Drake May? And I told you, like, initially I would, because Jayden is my number 1 preference. But like, where are you on the spectrum? Like, in terms of which way do you lean, like your preference? But then like, I'll still be cool with the other guy. Like, where do you lean? Who's your preference?
Yeah,
but also,
and I said last week too that I lean towards Jayden Daniels because I do feel like, and for me, Jayden Daniels' floor is a lot higher than Drake May, because I do think Drake May has that high boomer bust potential. But the boom for me really kind of intrigues me about Drake May to the point where if we go with him, I'm completely fine with it. But again, my lean and the pick that I would completely understand if they make it on that night is Jayden Daniels. But I like Drake May too, so I would not be upset with a Drake May pick.
AJ, is it like at a 0 level for you in terms of interest with Drake? Is it completely at 0?
Yeah, I've been at the 0, man. And I think that's what I was going to speak with Louis on. Like, I feel like some people just like move with conviction, and as we've seen Louis on TV, he's been, moving with conviction when it comes to Jayden Daniels. Not even just being the number 2 overall pick for Washington, but he has him as his number 1 guy. We've seen him move the same way last year with CJ Stroud or whatever. I'm just not on the Drake May thing. I really don't care for it. At the end of the day, I don't own the team. I don't run the team. It's just my opinion, but that's not a player that I would be intrigued by. I just feel like if I were a defensive coordinator, I'd be able to attack him so many different ways to get him out the game and psychologically mess him up. So,
well, for all of that, it is a perfect time to bring in Louis Riddick. After those comments, man, let's go ahead and bring in Louis. As we mentioned as well to start the show, Louis this weekend or next weekend, excuse me, will be a part of ESPN's draft all 3 days. So let's go ahead and get Louis in and have this discussion. First and foremost, Louis, I appreciate you joining us today and taking some time out of your day to chop it up with some Commanders fans, and obviously AJ and Dre is on with me. I'm Mual. I guess to start it off, you have a scouting background, as everybody knows, and I think for me, side note, I've been a part of the scouting academy for a couple of years now, and involved with Dan, working with him. So it's really a pleasure to meet you, given that you obviously played a role in that, and I've been able to learn from you, albeit videos, but still hearing you speak on specific positions that I'm looking at. But that's a pleasure. But in terms of a scouting background, obviously you played DB in the NFL, but also you do this thing 24/7 essentially. What are some of the traits that you look for that are actually kind of hard to project on the next level, specifically when it comes to your position, defensive backs, and obviously with Washington being at the number 2 overall pick, with quarterback being at the top of their mind? What is it with quarterback that's hard to evaluate as well?
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on here. I think the thing that scouts always find the most challenging, and Ryan Poles, the GM of the Bears, articulated that this year when he was talking about trying to decide which quarterback would best fit the Bears. And that was that he basically said it's not hard to learn how to identify physical characteristics that will transfer to the NFL. And that doesn't mean necessarily that you had to play at the NFL level. You can see height, weight, speed. You can see fluidity and change of direction. You can see functional strength, explosiveness. You can probably see, without getting into all the detail, whether or not a guy is doing what he's supposed to be doing from an assignment perspective. Now, obviously, there's always nuance from one scheme to the next, and a lot of times you don't want to delve too far into that as a scout, depending upon your level of expertise, because you go into a draft meeting and there's coaches involved, and then you start talking stuff that you don't really know what you're talking about. You wind up embarrassing yourself. So you don't want to do that too much. But what the key is getting the player, the person right. What kind of professional will they be? What kind of commitment do they have to really being great? And I know that sounds like, yeah, man. I mean, we all, that's something you ask them, right? You ask some people, you ask them, yeah. Well, listen, at this time of year, every player is going to try and paint themselves and project themselves in the best light. You got to get at the authentic individual. You got to find out who they are when the spotlight isn't on them, who they are when they're around people who can't do anything for them, or who don't have any kind of effect on their, on their future. How do they act around those people? And I have a couple different stories in my scouting career of guys who, for instance, who we brought in for top 30 visits during my time when I was in Philadelphia, who acted one way when they were in front of me or in front of the GM or in front of Andy Reid, but when they were in front of the scouting intern who was in charge of taking them back and forth from the NovaCare to the airport, they acted like a total ass and were like someone who had no business being a part, or rather who you would want to have no association with your organization. And see, that's what I'm talking about, getting the player right. So when you're talking about getting the player right, there's that personal character part of it that I just referred to. How is this person as an individual in society? How do they treat other people? Do they run afoul of the law? Are they taking care of business? And then there's the football character part. How committed are you to getting in the building early in the morning, actually maximizing your time, whether it be in the training room, weight room, in the meeting room? Are you actually, when you're away from the building, are you actually watching the kind of things and studying the kind of things, calling teammates and making sure that you're doing everything you can in order to maximize your potential? Because again, remember, this is a job. Or are you staying up until 2, 3 in the morning, playing video games, playing Fortnite, playing Call of Duty, arguing with your girl, arguing with your family, constantly getting distracted? And then see, here's the thing though, right? So then you go out there and you have a bad game, and see, people like fans will wind up going, well, man, this guy, how come this guy isn't playing well? Or, man, you guys suck as far as evaluating these players. How come this guy? But you know what? What you don't know is he may have been up till 3, 4 in the morning arguing over where his family was going to sit at the game, and why didn't they have suite tickets? And why do they have end zone tickets instead? All that. See, all the kind of things that people deal with all the time in life that can affect the guy and how they play. So, long story short, how do you get the person right? And when it comes to quarterback, you can best believe we already know what the standards are at quarterback. Okay, if you want to talk about old school who's already retired, Tom Brady's a standard. And I'm not just talking about how he played the game. I'm talking about how he was dedicated to the game. Tom was dedicated to the game in a way that I don't know if anybody in the history of the game was dedicated to it. And there's a guy who's playing right now who has that same dedication on top of being a multi-millionaire, about to be billionaire, who's also part owner of other franchises, and that's Patrick Mahomes. That's the standard. So don't tell me you can't be dedicated that way, because you can if you want that kind of success. That's what we're looking for. That's what you're judging everybody against.
Yeah, Louis, I definitely want to say appreciate you coming on here with us this morning. With you touching on all of those things, what's been going on in the last 48 hours within like the Washington Commanders base? I think you probably heard a little bit of it. Is the whole element of bringing in all these quarterback prospects such as Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, Jayden Daniels, and Drake May to all be in a collective space with one another doing their 30 visits, which we both know like that's not typically common. But how do you feel about that? So from what we've heard, they took them out to Top Golf, which is not that far away from the facility, to spend some time together. And we don't know what happened within the building, how they did those meetings. But how do you feel about that? And then a second portion of that, Jayden Daniels' agent, Ron Butler, who has represented a lot of top tier guys in this league, like Levante David, also recently DeMar Hamlin. He ended up kind of like questioning, the fact of how that visit particularly went. How do you feel about that? And can you touch on that?
Yeah. Well, first, let me say this. It isn't uncommon for teams to bring in a bunch of guys at once at different positions, and instead of spreading it out over the course of, let's say, the month of April, that they'll bring them in all in one visit, or bring them in like 1 or 2 visits, like 15 and 15 or something like that. Okay. And that's when, maybe you're picking mid-first round, late first round. I mean, whatever it is, okay? Because at this time of year, at this point, you pretty much have put in the work to the degree where you are pretty sure of where this guy slots in your on your overall board and how comfortable you are as far as this, these individuals fitting into your organization. What makes this one that makes you scratch your head a little bit, well, actually not a little bit, a lot, is this. The draft essentially starts with Washington, okay? They essentially have the number one pick because you can kind of take Chicago and just set them off to the side. Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears have only brought in, to my knowledge, one quarterback. They've only brought in one guy. They've only talked to one guy because they have the first choice, and they've already told Caleb, it's yours. That's you're our guy, you're who we have targeted. That's that. So really the draft starts with Washington. So Washington right now doesn't need to run any kind of distraction campaign. They don't have to put any lies out there. They don't have to play any games. They have the entire draft field minus Caleb Williams for all intents and purposes at their disposal. They can have whoever they want. So right now, and see, here's the thing. Now we're also talking about quarterback. We know quarterback is going to be the pick. We know that they have to find that franchise-defining pillar, foundational, whatever noun you want to use, adjective you want to use. That's the player, that's the position they're looking for. That guy. At this point, where you are 7 days away from making this pick, you have to be pretty locked in on which guy it is that you're looking at. And right now, time is of the essence. The NFL front offices don't have time to mess around here and play this kind of junior G-man dating game where it's like, let's just bring them all in and line them up and let's just see which one we like. Let's just see which one stands out. That's not how this goes.
Like
this
love
is a high stakes. Exactly. This is a high stakes business, man. A lot of stuff is on the line right now. They're trying to hit the ground running here and really make the Washington fan base feel as though we're setting this thing off on the right foot. Here's your hero. This is our guy. This is the guy we're going to ride with going forward. And everything we do is going to start with making sure we support this individual. And we're going to build this thing from the inside out and make sure he is set up and good to go. So now you're telling me you're going to bring in all these guys because you're still not like to me, this makes me feel as though in the building, there are varying opinions about who they feel that guy needs to be or who they feel is the best person for that job. Otherwise, considering all the other issues that they have on the football team, and I don't mean issues, I'm basically saying all the other holes and all the other things that they need to take care of, you don't have time to mess around with hanging out at Topgolf with 5 quarterbacks at the most important position on the team, nonetheless, and trying to figure out, which one do I like, sitting here sharing a hamburger with the most, or which one do I like how he gets on with the other guys the most? That's not how really this goes, especially not here in the 11th hour like that. So again, this brings me back to there are varying opinions, and they're trying to find tiebreakers. And honestly, if I'm Jayden Daniels right now, who I heard you guys saying in the beginning, I would pick number 1 overall, even above Caleb Williams anyway. And that's not, again, just to put this out there again, this doesn't mean I don't like Caleb Williams because I love the kid. I've met them all. Yeah. I just prefer Jayden Daniels. It's as simple as that. If I'm him right now, I'm sitting there going, look, personally, let's be real about it. I'm sitting there going, what the hell is going on here? Wait a minute. I got people who believe I'm the best player in this draft, period. And now I'm in here with a bunch of other guys, no disrespect to them. And you're trying, like, what are you doing? Why aren't you locking in on me? And why aren't you getting me to lock in on you? Why aren't we already building that relationship the same way that Caleb Williams is building the relationship with Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator? Like, he's building that relationship up there in Chicago. Why aren't you locking in on me? This is as important a decision for the Washington franchise as it is for Chicago at 1. The same way it was last year with Bryce in Carolina and CJ in Houston. It's the same thing. So, yeah, I would be a little annoyed by it. I'd be a little disenchanted by it. I'd have a lot of questions about it for sure. And see, there's this – look, if this was a group of 15, 20 guys from various different positions and we were picking 23rd, 24th, I wouldn't even bat an eye at this kind of thing. I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. That's just their methodology as far as handling these top 30 visits. I don't care. Don't really matter. They have their decisions pretty much made up already. But when you're talking about decision that carries this kind of importance at that position at the 11th hour, and this is what you're doing, and you're a new ownership group with a new head coach who's been a head coach before, and you're trying to this tells me maybe Adam Peters has one thought, maybe Magic Johnson has another thought, maybe Dan Quinn has another thought, maybe Cliff Kingsbury has another, who knows what. We don't know. It brings up more questions than it provides answers. That's for sure.
So, Louis, I mean, we're kind of talking about how quirky this process is with Washington and bringing in all of these guys, and they have the number 2 pick. You were kind of in a similar situation like this in 2004 with Washington. I mean, it wasn't a quarterback situation,
right?
There was a situation between the tight end and the safety in that draft, and that was a situation where leading up to the draft, we as fans, even I think the media, no one really knew which direction that they were going to go in. Was there anything within that last week of the draft that kind of swayed this opinion that we're going this way? To Sean.
You're talking about then? Well, look, I'll tell you this. That decision went all the way up to like 12 hours before the pick was actually made.
Wow.
Like the night before we went home that night, we had a staff meeting with coaches, front office personnel, ownership, and Kellen was number 1 on the board. The next morning when I came into the draft room, Sean was number 1 on the board. And we had a very productive but emotional, animated argument that was made on behalf of both Kellen and on Sean that day. And I can tell you this, it was pretty much still split 50-50. I didn't know how it was going to go the next day. Obviously, I was advocating for Sean. I mean, everyone knows what my feelings were for him then and now. But yeah, so this kind of thing can happen. It's not the way ideally you want it to happen, but like for Washington, and it can wind up turning out to be okay, because in the end there is no timeline, there is no drop dead date where you have to kind of internally have a decision made. This could go all the way up until you're on the clock if you wanted to. Now that's not obviously the way you want it to be. But right now, when you're bringing in guys, again, at that position in particular, this is a franchise-defining, trajectory-altering decision that's being made here by a brand-new ownership group, brand-new head coach. You're trying to reset everything with this organization. You would like for it to be already locked in because there's so many other things you want to get done. I don't see any reason why you're doing it like this, other than there isn't you are not locked in on one guy yet. Because if you are and you're still doing this, what the heck? You're wasting time. I mean, for what? What do you need the other guys there for? Why aren't you spending your time doing something else other than entertaining all these guys at Topgolf? It would be. I would love to hear what the explanation would be, other than the fact that they still aren't quite locked in on that one dude. And look, that's good for us for TV. We're going to be talking about it, and it's good for y'all because we're going to be talking about this for the next 7 days.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how good that is for them. Maybe it is. I don't know. We'll see.
So for me, I know you've been gracious with your time. I have one more question. Not sure if AJ, you have one as well. But my last question, given that you mentioned Jayden Daniels at number 1, even over Caleb Williams, just give the people exactly how you feel he became your number 1, regardless of Caleb and regardless of Drake. But why does he stand out? Jayden Daniels does, in comparison to the other two, obviously, in Caleb and Drake.
You know, it's kind of like last year when I got around CJ and I went to see Bryce after that, and I went to see Will Levis after that, all in succession. I saw how the players, and again, this isn't to say that players reacted badly to the other quarterbacks or I didn't like the other quarterbacks at all, but look, some of this business is subjective. Some of it is just about what do you prefer in combination with the objective data that you get off of a piece of paper, or that your stats people compile for you, or from you watching tape. Some of it is just the feel. Okay. Now, before I even get to that, Jayden Daniels this year, and I know Caleb had a great year in 22 and won the Heisman Trophy. Caleb's fantastic. As a matter of fact, I said a lot of the things that Caleb does reminds you from a movement perspective of Patrick. It does remind you of that. Okay. And a lot of people would say, well, damn, that's easy then. Why don't you just pick him? Well, there's more to it than that. Jayden, 6'4", 210 pounds, moves like a gazelle, great arm, throw from different arm angles, super fast, super athletic, super competitive, is going to he'll probably be 215, 220 when he kind of maxes out as far as his musculature and how much bigger he's going to get. So I'm not worried about anything as far as his durability and his ability to take NFL hits, and he'll calm all that stuff down anyway. He is extremely smart based off of what NFL coaches have told me in terms of their individual visits that they've had with him, where they put him on the board, installed a ton of stuff, taking him out to lunch, have a couple hours pass by where some of that information can kind of like drift off in the no man's land, and maybe he's not able to recall it. Bring him back 3-4 hours later after talking about various other subjects, and then asking him to remember something that they gave him for the first time 4 hours ago, and he can recite it verbatim and draw it right back up on the board again. He has that kind of mental horsepower. He came from Arizona State, comes to the SEC, goes down there at LSU. People were telling him, we don't know if you're ready for that kind of challenge. We don't know if you're ready to be that kind of leader. We don't know if you're ready to take your game to the next level in that environment. And he showed them all. Not only am I ready to do it, from year 1 to year 2 that I'm down there, I'm going to make such dramatic improvements. It's going to remind people of another guy who did that down at LSU, who went on to win the Heisman, went on to win the national championship, and went on to become one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, who was one throw away from beating Matthew Stafford and the Rams in the Super Bowl, that being Joe Burrow. And nobody batted an eye when Joe Burrow was throwing to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, even though right now people are going to try and knock Jayden down because he's throwing to Malik, he's throwing to Brian Thomas, and people are going, well, if you give Caleb those weapons, he'd have the same kind of, yeah, we get all that. This guy is special, Jayden Daniels. Repeatable throwing mechanics, feet, hips, arming, they're all tied together. He'll get even better at that. Processing on the football field, short, intermediate, deep, distributing the football laterally, the RPO game, the quarterback run game. He can do it all. You tell me something right now that Jayden can't do. There's nothing that he can't do. And here's the kicker. When I watched him down there at his pro day, and I watched him interacting with Malik, and I watched him interacting with Brian Thomas, and I watched how he was moving during that process, I saw an authentic kid who was just being himself, supporting his teammates, and who was out, and he ran his entire workout himself. It went as smooth as can be. And when I was around him and got a chance to talk to him, I'm literally standing there looking at him, and I'm going, that's who I'd want leading my franchise. And based off of the other intel that I've got from other people who intimately know him, know his family situation, all the things he's dealt with, overcome, and he has still excelled at the highest level despite some of the challenges that have been put in his way or that have kind of like just been in his way. I have no doubt in my mind, if we did our part, meaning the team, and we give him the right structure, the right stability from ownership on down, make sure we protect him, give him a running game, give him some weapons, give him quality coaching, instruction, feedback when he's struggling, answers when he needs answers, both on the practice field, in the classroom, and on game day. All the things that the greats have gotten, where you're talking about guys from Joe Montana to Troy Aikman to Tom Brady to Peyton Manning. All these guys had those things surrounding them. That's why they're Hall of Famers. You give Jayden Daniels that, you'll get everything you want. You'll get absolutely everything you want. And you know what? And I believe Caleb Williams is going to do the same thing if Chicago does the same things for him. But I prefer Jayden. I loved how I felt being around him, watching him move the same way I felt about CJ. And you see what CJ's doing now in Houston now, right? He's the alpha there. And they are set for decades. Yeah. I'm hoping the same thing happens with Jayden wherever he goes.
Man, I love the conviction, Louis. I just wanted to kind of – I know you got to get out of here. So just to kind of wrap up with you covering the draft for 3 days next week with ESPN, if you were Adam Peters and and having to work in collaboration with Dan Quinn going into this draft and having 6 picks in the first 3 rounds. How would you attack this draft process and the prospects that you would select in order to possibly get this team Washington to replicate with a franchise quarterback, possibly a Jayden Daniels, the success that Houston was able to do with CJ Stroud last year and beyond?
Well, first of all, like I said, we got to make sure. Okay, starting with the coaching staff. If I'm Dan and I'm Adam, let's just go all the way to the GM spot. I'm saying, hey, look, we got to make sure Cliff has a plan. Cliff has a plan to protect this young man, give him the answers that in terms of personnel. We have to have the personnel. Cliff has to have a plan. Cliff has to have answers for this young man when he's faced with the various different looks that he's going to be faced with and the way people are going to try and attack him. Let's make sure that we're solid 1 through 5 up front. Let's make sure we're solid on the edges here. Where do we need to upgrade? Are we good with Terry and Jahan? Are we good there? Are we good with Zacchaeus? Do we have enough there? Do we have enough here at tight end now with guys like Zach, with guys like John Bay? I mean, are we good? At the running back position, is Austin and Brian? That's not bad. Chris Rodriguez, that's not bad right there at running back. Okay, so let's just make sure if you're Adam Peters, you're starting with the plan. You're making sure we're building this inside out, protection first, run game second to me. We have the weapons already on the perimeter. How can we supplement them? And Cliff, make sure he has answers. Make sure this guy has answers, that he never is coming into you or anyone else on this coaching staff asking questions, and we don't have something to give him that will help him. That's how I'm approaching this. Defensively, look, we're continuing to trying to make sure, especially on the edges, that we have the guys that can support Jonathan and Duran inside, because we lost 2 guys on the outside. Look, Montez is going to be good up there in Chicago. All right, he's going to be good. And we'll see what Chase winds up being. But we need more pressure from the outside. We need pressure on the edges. Bobby, can you hold it down in the middle? Let's just make sure we can cover and take the ball away in the back end. But when you're talking about Jayden, it's exactly how I told you. Protect him. Make sure he has someone to turn around and hand it off to him. We can run the ball effectively, and he has weapons. And Cliff have answers for him. And then we'll let this board play itself out. And we'll take it piece by piece. We'll get the quarterback, and then we'll move from there. We'll see what happens with the depth along the offensive line. Who's still available? Who can we add to our front 5 up front? Do we have enough weapons on the perimeter? The draft is very deep at wide receivers. There's someone that can add value there that can give him another playmaker that we can pull into this structure that we're putting up here. Bring them into our culture and make them productive Washington football players. That really is, in a nutshell, from an outline perspective, how I'd be looking at it. And I hope that they're looking at it the same way.
Man, I do too, for my sake, and I'm sure some other Jayden people in here in this chat and on the show as well. But Louis, do you have any way that we can get like a link for your Mitchell and Ness collection? Is there something that we can put into the chat, or that you can give to AJ, and we can do it later? We're not doing it right now.
Yeah, no. I mean, you just go to mitchellandness.com and look up
Louis
Riddick collection, or go to Dick's Sporting Goods.
Okay.
ShopPitPanthers.com. It's on all those. I mean that. I appreciate you bringing it up. I mean, that's been such a cool collaboration between the university and Mitchell and Ness and myself. I'm blown away by it all. It's been a long time coming. A lot of work went into that. Some people a lot more talented than me put that together, and it's just really neat. It's cool to see it kind of come to life.
Like me, Dre, and AJ, all Mitchell and Ness fans, so we definitely gonna tap into that. But Louis, man, I appreciate you joining us and giving us some of your time, giving us more than what you. I mean, shoot, you've been friendly today, so we definitely appreciate it. It's draft talk, so we can't complain at all. Appreciate you giving us your time, and be safe, boss man, and good luck next weekend.
Appreciate
it for having me on. Of course. All right.
Looking forward to the coverage next week, man. Hopefully, Washington makes smart decisions that you agree.
When they get on the clock, that's going to be wild. I mean, I'm sure that'll probably be the height of our ratings, maybe right there, because there's a lot of action right there at the top of the draft. It'll be a good time. Enjoy it.
Hey man, just shout out Trap and Dive when that number.
Yeah, I was selling them last week, man. I didn't know what they was doing with the top 30 business.
All right, bro.
Appreciate it, Louis.
Appreciate
there
it.
Goes
all right.
Louis Riddick of ESPN. Let me fix that right quick. Boom. There we go. Hey, that was an excellent conversation, fellas. Hey, Jay said, I wish it wasn't all pissed up. I don't think it is the way he talked about it. Pitt obviously collabing with him, but
his collaboration,
his collaboration.
It's like more so like the color scheme and stuff. So you can still pull it off even if you don't rock with Pittsburgh or from Pittsburgh. Like you can still pull it off if you got some fashion sense. Jay Tyler, I don't know if you got it, but
Jay Tizzy, hey, funny enough though, it is crazy because I definitely don't when it comes to Mitchell and Ness, I'm rocking whatever. So I may cop that little that blue and yellow joint. It's not bad, bro. It's nice little
I'm a fitted fan, so I get me a couple fitted hats. You know what I'm saying? Throw something down.
Hey, is it true that them Jones? Don't take this the wrong way, Dre, but do them Jones be fucking with y'all hairlines, bro? Because I ain't wearing no fitted.
No, we wear them. We wear them to cover our hairlines, Jamal. They don't fuck our hairlines up. Genetics mess our hairlines up.
I had to ask, bro. I don't remember the last time I wore fitted, bro.
We only wear hats to cover the hairlines. They ain't gonna mess the hairline.
Oh man, that was funny. But hey, look though. So let's kind of a slight recap, and we do got confirmation for the 8 o'clock. So we're gonna put that out in a second on the stream.
Hey, Mark. We can put it out later on. Just go ahead and announce that shit right now while we got everybody here.
Is it confirmed?
Hey,
I'll be announcing.
8 o'clock. Be back on Trap or Dive, man. The good man RG3 finna step in and check in with the fellas on Trap or Dive. We're gonna be live for that one. So again, like I said on Twitter, I think we ain't done yet. We damn sure ain't done yet, man. So we be back here at 8 o'clock, chopping up with RG3 on a live stream as well. So same thing, man. If y'all got questions, y'all want to be a part of the show, always you're welcome to do so. Send the questions in. And then just be a part of the chat, man, for sure. So we're gonna see y'all again at 8 o'clock. Back to this, man.
Look, but let's just say this. Let's put a preface out there about the whole RG3 thing. Some of y'all might curse us out for that. We're not gonna get as much praise for the Adam Schefter and Louis Riddick because some of y'all don't like RG3. But RG3 is a great guest, man. I mean, dude is smart as hell, and I'm excited for one because I've always been a fan of him, and I'm shameless with it.
Hey, 2012 was the best, bruh. I remember every game. Like where I was every single game. Like, come on now. It's probably the best time. And I remember what happened pre-draft too. I was at the Taco Bell drive-through line when they traded up.
You was in line to fuck up your stomach.
Hey, I was in line for I don't know what I was eating back then.
He's probably a teenager.
Hey, bro, 2012. I was 20. No, was it? Yeah, 2012.
That's 12
I was
years ago,
fresh. Yeah, I just finished my freshman year. Got kicked out of UMS. I was at PG Community College, bro. Over there, that drive-through line being stupid. I remember everything. But look, man, we're gonna type on RG3 later today. And yeah, hopefully you all enjoy that. That's gonna be fun. But he mentioned something. Louis did. He had said, and I thought I appreciated this because he said that top 30 visit with all of those the quarterbacks there. Obviously, it was some more players around, but definitely the quarterbacks. The indecision could be like spewing, not like drastically, but just like leaking out just a little bit. From that his perspective is saying that could be kind of the case and why they're doing something like that. And that could be an indecision or indecisiveness between the two top head decision makers that's going to be coming around next Thursday. What do you think about Lewis's comments on his take on the idea to bring all of them together, especially because he said if this was not a top 2 pick, like a mid first, late first, where you can bring those guys together, he wouldn't see a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, just even being a part of the industry, I've never seen this before. Where a team is sitting with a top 3 pick and bringing in all the quarterback prospects that they could possibly go with, in a sense. And those prospects have different tiers. I think most of us have Caleb at a different tier, and then another tier is Jayden Daniels and Drake. Then you have in, the Michael Penix, the JJ McCarthy's. It's kind of weird that they left out Bo Nix. He probably feels like, damn, why I ain't get to go to Top Golf as well? But I mean, traditionally, how visits would go is, for example, if it's a quarterback, it'll be maybe a linebacker, wide receiver, defensive lineman, and a safety. That's typically how like these visits are set up. But to have all the possible prospects at quarterback that you could be looking at it at the same time, at the same visit, and doing stuff like Top Golf is so like left field. And I think that's what probably led, Ron Butler, Jayden Daniels' agent, to publicly, not necessarily making a comment. I mean, he put an emoji to a tweet. That was a conversation in regards of it. I think it could probably throw you for a loop. And I think that's also what Washington's trying to do, throw some of these guys for a loop. Because honestly, outside of the combine, the next time that those guys, after they left the combine, thought that they would be together is possibly draft day in Detroit, and for sure the rookie premiere, which happens in LA. Outside of that, you're not expecting to be around Michael Penix Jr., Drake May, Jayden Daniels, JJ McCarthy. If you're one of those guys, you're not expecting that. So I don't know. I think sometimes some teams overthink situations. A lot of us, give kudos to Adam Peters at his tenure in San Francisco, but we also have to sit back and realize this is also this man's first time calling the shots as a GM. So all this is new to him, and the approach that they're taking is new, and he's probably trying to establish things his way, whatever the case is. The conversations between ownership group, even the coaching staff, there's a lot of strong, opinionated people that have been in the league for a long time within those rooms. I just think that they're doing something new. It doesn't mean that it's wrong, doesn't mean that it's correct. I just think that they're, trying to divulge in so many different ways to make sure they have that guy, like Lewis touched on, outside of just football. Like, how does this person compete? How bad does this person want it? How bad, will they do whatever they can to get to that next level? Are they going to be the type of guy to pull guys together? How will they work within the locker room? Are they, just trying to think of so many different human elements, because this person is going to be the face of your franchise. So we seen the little videos of them walking in Dulles Airport by themselves. Whoever ends up being that number 2 pick will not be able to walk in that airport unrecognized going forward.
Yeah, I mean, and I do agree with Lewis that it probably signals that they are not 100% sure, or at least there's conflicting kind of opinions of which direction they're going to go at for quarterback in this draft. I do think that signals this, but I also don't think this was a coincidence. I don't think they just brought all of these guys in just for the hell of it to say, hey, we just want to bring these guys in, just do it all at once, knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. I don't think that was it. I mean, I think at some point, I don't think soon, maybe a couple years down the line, you'll probably get the true hearing or the true story behind why they did this, especially if it becomes a success or if it goes the wrong way. You'll probably hear, some story along the lines of Adam Peters wanted to see who the alpha was in the room, or the guy that stands out, the guy that people gravitate towards. Because at the end of the day, yes, we know everything about what you can do on the football field. We studied hours of film and everything. What we don't know is the person. How does this person lead? How comfortable is this person around his peers? How comfortable is this person speaking up? What else can this person do? So to me, obviously what I'm doing is projecting. I could be coming up with a conspiracy, but it's me trying to rationalize, there's some kind of thought process behind this, or some kind of at least mad genius. The optimist in me wants to believe there's a mad genius behind this idea to bring all these guys in to say, I'm noticing I want to pick up something that I can't pick up in film, or that someone hasn't, or someone can't tell me. I'm picking up things that I can only know by being around this person in a big setting. So who knows what it is, but I don't think it was an accident that they bring all of these guys in. I do think there was some sort of plan behind the idea. So, who knows whether it'll work? Like I said, years from now, if it does work, we'll hear, if this guy becomes a franchise quarterback, Washington revolutionized this thing. This may become a common occurrence going forward. You know, I mean, they said this happened in New England. This happened in San Francisco, and Adam Peters was at both stops. So who knows if this is something that'll kind of kick off the things, especially if it works. If it doesn't work, then Adam Peters will get shamed into oblivion because they'll be like, oh man, you know, he had all of these guys in for a pre-draft visit and he ends up selecting a bust, you know. So it's one of those things where you can either, at the end of the day, you can look like a genius or you can look like an idiot. But right now, and it's just the way a lot of people are kind of viewing this is unconventional, and unconventional kind of makes a lot of people uncomfortable. So, I mean, that's the thing. People don't know, and it's the mystery behind it. But this has either the potential to, like I said, be something that's kind of revolutionary in a sense, or it can be something that just gets shamed into oblivion.
But Dre and Mual, let me ask y'all something. What does the way that they're handling this drafting process of a quarterback at number 2 remind you guys of, since, you know, new ownership has been in place, new GM or whatever? What does it remind you of?
Honestly, I ain't gonna lie to you. Nothing specifically pops up right now. I'll give AJ the floor before I go somewhere, but nothing pops up specifically for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was trying to figure out where you was going with that because I don't know what it reminds me of.
Well, I guess what it reminds me of is how they went about the hiring of the coach, like how they even got to Dan Quinn. Like the only thing that they've done fast has been hiring Adam Peters.
Adam Peters, yep.
Even the firing of Ron Rivera was slow process, worked out or whatever. The only person they made an immediate decision on was Adam Peters. From the coaching interviews, they literally interview everybody in the damn world. I think I did an interview with them for the head coaching job. Like, I mean,
AJ, you got 10 minutes, brother.
Yeah, it was just like they drew out the process so long. That's why a lot of people were upset when Dan Quinn was the hire, because they're like, damn, it feels like y'all just settled on this guy because all the other candidates that you were interested in were hired for jobs such as the Raheem Morris and so on. And then of course we know the Ben Johnson fiasco, but it's like I don't know. I'm not familiar with Josh Harris and his tendencies as an owner, but like I don't know. Everything kind of seems to be slow paced, dragged out in a sense.
But to what you're saying though, and to flashback, because now that you're jogging my memory a bit, back then, and I agree with you now on the quarterback spot, which is why initially we had this conversation a couple weeks ago. Now, back then you were saying that, you know, it's important, like once you identify a guy, like this slow paced process, you didn't necessarily say it was a problem. You just didn't necessarily agree with it. Like, especially if they identified a guy, you was just like, go after him. I'm not necessarily giving you the verbatim quotes, but that was kind of your feel at the time, AJ. And here currently, a couple weeks ago, I mentioned, like, I felt like they should have their mind made up on the guy right now. And the process that you laid out, I also didn't fully take into account this 2-week process that you said, you know, like teams are still going to keep doing their homework, their research and things like that. And even when they bring in people for the visit, even Adam Schefter said something with us last week about how somebody could be a pure asshole on the visit, and it can really reflect negatively among the decision makers. Same thing with Louis Riddick just now, flashing back to his time in Philadelphia about how somebody was assholes to the scouting assistants and things like that. Things can change. But I do feel like, to what you're saying, or what you brought up, AJ, that slow paced process, it's interesting now, but I also feel like how are they, like, maybe this is like an experiment in a sense of obviously it's been done before, but it's like they know who their guy is, but let me make him uncomfortable. Let me put him in a situation where he's thinking about like what we're thinking about, but how does he respond that way? Like, how does he express himself? How does he handle himself? I don't know what this agent's intentions was. Like his agent, what is his name?
Butler.
Ron Butler.
Ron Butler.
Yeah, I don't know what his intentions was when he sent that emoji out. I'm not overreacting in the sense of like that he's confirming or agreeing or disagreeing with the tweet that he quote tweeted. But I do feel like a person of that stature, like who he represents, wasn't a good idea to just put out an emoji that's left up for interpretation. But also the like side, like he likes just as much as he retweets. So like I wouldn't think too deeply into that side. I just don't know what his intention was, but I do think that there's an angle from the Commander side where they are understanding of who their guy is. Don't care what the agent thinks, because that's just him just being personable on Twitter and having his own opinions. Like he's over there talking about Drake and Kendrick beat, bro. Like he just does him. Like I don't think he's liking pictures. He's like Instagram models that's doing a little gym thing, like thirst trapping in the gym and shit. Like he love that shit. So like what are we talking about?
That's the difficulty of being like an African American agent in a industry that's been predominantly dominated by Caucasian people. Like, not to necessarily bring race into it, but it's like these dudes move at a different way. Like, I mean, he may not even know that people could see his likes. I don't know. You feel me? That's not a conversation I've had with him.
He knows.
But either way, it's not something that's that big of a deal. Because if that was the case, a lot of people would absolutely hate Drew Rosenhaus, and he's done much worse. In regard,
well, people do hate Drew Rosenhaus.
Yeah, I mean they hate him, but teams still deal with him. You feel me? Because he represents the talent that they want. You feel me? So in a situation where it's like Jayden Daniels, I don't think Washington cares about what the hell his agent has on Twitter. It's not like he said anything derogatory. He just put it.
He really didn't speak at all. He didn't speak.
See, here's my thing. I didn't even comment on this on Twitter because I don't like to get too deep into stuff like that. Like, I don't go searching for agents' likes and whatnot. But what I will say is he should be very well aware that X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it is a very public platform, and people do this thing. He should know this because he should be advising his client of these type of things. Like he would, as an agent, he's supposed to be responsible for telling his client what to put out there and what you can't put out there because of what people are watching. Yet he's doing the very thing you wouldn't want his client doing. Like we would not want Jayden Daniels on Twitter doing what he did last night. Yet he was on Twitter doing what he did last night, and it's just not a good look overall because, as Mual said, it leaves things up for interpretation. Well, regardless of whatever he meant or not, it just leaves things up to interpretation, especially coming off of this visit, this whole 2030 prospect visit that they had at Top Golf. And again, as I said, in my opinion, I believe this was done calculated. They were calculated with this thing to see how these guys react or adapt in certain situations. And right after this visit, you have the agent of one of the clients that was there complaining, or at least agreeing about complaining, or leaving it up to interpretation that he's complaining about how the visit went. It kind of looks like, because you're representing your client, it kind of looks like your client also felt some type of way being put into this situation. So that's why I say, as an agent, you have to kind of be more aware and cognizant of these things, because now he has to probably go out there and explain. Maybe he has to backtrack. Like, I didn't mean it this way. Like, why even put yourself in this position? And I know you kind of brought up the race element into this, AJ, but I mean, we've seen plenty of black agents. I mean, what's her name? Ashley Nicole Moss. I think she's one of the most professional ones out there. I don't think she would do something like that, a week before the draft.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I think her name Ashley, but Nicole Moss is the media personality.
Okay, well, I know it's a couple
about Nicole Lynn. That's
Nicole.
That's the one. Okay, I'm sorry. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I know she's very professional. She does things by the book in a sense, and she's a minority female. She's not even just a black person. She's also a minority female in a predominated man business. But this guy, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's been around a while. You just have to be aware of the situations you're kind of putting your client into, because I don't think this is something that the Commanders are going to look at and say, hey, we're going to take this guy off our draft board completely, but it just gives them an opportunity to question certain things. You don't want anything questioned at this time during this process.
One last question for
he's still up too, so he ain't bothering him.
One last question for you, AJ.
So,
have just for people to have some perspective, and then we can get up out of here, get ready for the 8 o'clock. What does it look like for you as an agent, representing the client, and the client does something that or is thinking about doing something that you don't agree with, and vice versa. Like you do something and the client just handling disagreements or just other side, like having a different perspective. Like, what does it look like in the right space? What is the right way to handle that look like? And can people just think that, because the reason why I ask is because people are thinking because the agent is doing something, he must be expressing exactly how his client feels.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, the athlete is the one who hired the agent. So the agent works for the athlete. It's not the other way around. As we've seen many a times in these draft processes, depending on where guys go in the draft or where they were told that they would go in the draft, some of these agents get fired right after. So it's not I can't even say a marriage because you can get divorced. So it's not something that's permanent. Like, things can change. I just think, of course, you want to keep things as private as possible. You really don't want to put the spotlight or have conversations like this happen. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. But that also depends on the relationship that those two parties have together. Like I said, this isn't his first rodeo. Ron also represents Defoe that plays for the Commanders right now. He's represented Levante David, and just last year with all the media situation behind DeMar Hamlin's situation, that's his agent. So he definitely endured a lot of conversations that happened with that and content that was out there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not going to be the deciding factor for Washington what they do at quarterback. If they like Jayden Daniels and there's no like behavior issues as far as him in particular off the field, they're going to pick him. It's not going to be dependent on who his agent is and who's represented by. He could be represented by himself. They're still going to do what they need to do and
But
pick
AJ,
the best.
It's safe to say that Butler's biggest client will be Jayden Daniels at this point, right? I mean, because I know you mentioned Levante David and Defoe.
Definitely. It's a different tier when you go from representing other positions to a quarterback, and especially when that would be, top 3 quarterback and playing in a major market such as Washington. It's definitely night and day. I've never been blessed to come into a situation representing someone straight out of college that would be going top 5. But it's a different ball game as far as the eyes that are on you, from the attention that everyone, wants to get out of them, the opportunities, the conversations. As you've seen, Ron has been giving this information to a lot of the insiders, whether it be Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter. I even seen this morning Tom Pelissaro mention that Jayden has a meeting with the Minnesota Vikings and his name was attached to that tweet. It's a bit different, man, because at the same token, not only are you trying to put certain information out there, you're also trying to brand yourself and market your agency and who you are, because you hope to use the same content to lure in the next Jayden Daniels next year and so on.
Boom. There it is. We can chop or close it off here. Like I said, RJ3 will be back, or will be on at 8:00 tonight. So we will be live again. We got a doubleheader today. So appreciate everybody who tuned in. All 32 will be back as well this weekend. But RG3 and then Louis Riddick is priority right now for obvious reasons. Draft talk, baby. Number 2 overall pick, baby. With that being said, appreciate y'all for watching live. Again, like God damn it. Guy, I need your name one more time, bro. But just like he said, man, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit not his real name, the one before he made that account. But 8 p.m. Eastern. 8
I think it was
Eastern.
Roger Smith.
Roger. 8 p.m.
How the hell
Eastern.
you get Akanaki from Roger Smith?
No, that was his name.
Sounds like Lord of the Rings or something. He's probably on that. I don't know. I don't watch it. I'm guessing.
I don't watch it.
I'm like, me either.
I don't. How your name Roger Smith and then your profile name is
Yeah,
Akanaki. Who is that?
Hey man, people got them characters, bro.
Hey,
shout out to them, man.
Roger, I remember our listeners. I remember
just
our
said
viewers.
it's
Yeah, Roger.
Smith. He just said OG Roger Smith.
Yeah, Roger came in this joint. He be angry every show, bro.
No, Roger, that's why I
mad.
remember him. Roger he come in 100 every time he come in this joint.
Well, he ain't good enough.
That goddamn Robert there.
He be off on his Akanaki.
Hey, there you go, man.
Hey, hold up, but he just said something that's up my wheelhouse. Hey, Roger, you might have to DM me what you seen, man, because that's right up my alley.
There you go. He saw a UFO years ago.
Y'all need to go see a doctor if y'all seen UFOs.
No, we see in reality, brother.
All right, well, you gonna tell that story before RG comes through tonight, bro. That's what you gonna do. You gonna let us know about this UFO that you didn't seen, bro. Maybe Roger too when you pop in. Let us know. But all right, that's it for us. Let's get back to work. And then RG3 tonight, man. Y'all take it easy, all that good stuff. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Peace.